Hello everybody and welcome back. It's Stewart A. Swerdlow.
And Janet Diane Swerdlow.
And this is expansions.com and our news podcast for the first week in September 2013.
Can't believe it's September.
I know, we missed the whole summer.
Well, no, we were here. Well, we were here and there.
Not really. We were gone most of the summer.
Yeah.
And then when we came back it was cold and cloudy, and
now it's hot.
now, of course, we're going to close up the pool and it's hot out, but today's the last hot day. It's going to get cold tomorrow, according to the weather. All right, to the news. And last week I reported to you about Syria and that Obama and the UK voted against bombing Syria, and Obama now is chickening out a little bit, and he said he's going to ask for congressional permission and approval before he decides to bomb Syria. He did say that they deserve it and that they now have proof that they use sarin gas against their population. Of course, the Russian president said that it was complete nonsense and he requires to see more proof. But interestingly, the Russians sent their aircraft carriers and destroyers into the Mediterranean. So if Obama does something, it's going to be a really big mess, and they really hope he doesn't do it. Now, online there is a website, a magazine called SHTF, when the you-know-what hits the fan. And according to that report, and I've read some of their stuff over the last few months, and it's sometimes a little bit exaggerated, but they're saying that the civil war in Syria is already spreading to Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon. Well, those countries have always, except for Jordan. Jordan really is pretty stable, but the other countries are also very volatile. They claim that the U.S. trained and armed and funded the insurgency using Al-Qaeda operatives, and that's what I reported on my news, I think to was it my members or the public one?
Don't remember.
With the U.S. ambassador to Libya that was murdered last September 11, 2012 in Benghazi. He was actually the one recruiting these people, and that's why he was killed, and that's why they didn't bother to save him, because they didn't want him talking afterwards. This network also claims that Saudi Arabia is sending funds and arms as well, and so the Israelis are also aiding the rebels. Now, the Israelis aiding Muslim rebels, that's very interesting. They said that if the U.S. does attack Syria, what will be the consequences? According to them, that there will not be very much participation from American allies. Obama will try to mitigate the public outcry about it by limiting the attacks. They will establish a no-fly zone over Syria, and the U.S. Navy will enforce that. Iran, according to this source, will immediately launch troops and arms in support of Syria. I don't know if that's really going to happen. Israel will be the first nation to send official ground troops into Syria, and Iran, I don't think so. Iran will shut down the Strait of Hormuz by sinking multiple freighters in the narrow strait there. Well, they've threatened to do that in the past, and they haven't. I think they really don't want a big deal over it. Now, this part I do agree. They said the Egyptian civil war will explode due to anger over the U.S. intervention. I agree with that part. Saudi Arabia will see an uprising in insurgency. I agree with that as well. Gasoline prices will skyrocket 75 to 100%. Well, it's already doing that. Russia will threaten or limit to cut off natural gas exports to EU. They do that every winter. They wait till a cold snap, and then they threaten cutting off the oil supply and gas unless they get a raise. Russia will position naval forces in the Mediterranean. Already done that. Now, here's the economic part. China and Russia will announce their decision to drop the dollar completely. They already did that. Homelessness will expand, blah, blah, blah. Terrorist attacks will spread like wildfire. I already told you that was going to happen. Martial law will be all but officially declared, and the streets of America will feel like martial law is on. Well, I think if you walk through any big city, it feels like that anyway.
I think they have the right to stop you now.
They have the right to do anything, really. But that's interesting you said that, because they said Homeland Security will be turned inward towards the U.S. and the TSA will be expanded onto highways and city streets. Local police will be federalized, which they're in the process of doing that now, and totalitarianism will be the norm. Well, in my opinion, it already is. Now, they get a little extreme here when they tell you what you should be doing now. You should be stockpiling motor oil, gasoline, diesel fuel, propane, all of that. You should have a generator. Well, you should have that anyway. They said you should get minimal solar power capability. That's easier said than done, and it's very expensive. They also claim the internet will not longer exist as we know it. I don't believe that. They said the White House will apply pre-existing executive orders on U.S. communications to restrict internet use because they'll say it will protect against cyber attacks. Well, if you can't use the internet, what's the difference? I think they need the internet at full force to bombard people and program them. So I don't think they're going to change too much on there. They said everyone should have a ham radio. Well, you should have a battery operated or crank radio anyway in case of an emergency. And then it says you should place security bars on your windows, replace your doors with steel core door. I don't really think that's it. If you need to do that, it's time to go.
Yeah, because all this, a lot of that just instills fear, and fear is what draws the stuff to you to start with.
So I think, you know what, if it ever comes down to that, you should be going anyway.
Or know that you're protected via your mind.
You learn a useful trade. Well, you should do that anyway. Store things for winter coming. Yeah, I think that, I remember I told you we're going to have, the Russians said 2014 ice age begins, and I believe that. And it says, find 2 friends or more right now that are willing to coordinate with you in the event that the worst happens. I'd like to find one friend like that, like that. Then it says, buy 6 months worth of food over the course of the next 2 months. And if you already have that, buy more, and you'll thank him later. Cultivate nutrient-rich soil before winter begins. Well, if all that stuff's going to happen, am I going to be growing stuff in my garden? I don't think so. Now, I find this one funny. Gauge the temperament of your neighborhood. If all of your neighbors are mindless, brain-eating zombies, then perhaps it would be better to share a home with a prepared family member in another region now. Apparently, he doesn't know my family. I would rather live with the mindless zombies. Yeah. Then it says, prepare yourself mentally for conflict and self-defense. Well, if you do that, then you will create it mentally. So either you're safe or you're not safe. I think, and I know this is going to offend some people, but most preppers are really wasting their time and money, because when things get that extreme, why would you want to survive that? Because there'll be nothing to live for.
Well, just because they're a prepper doesn't mean they're going to survive. I think that's a false sense
and all these prepper
security.
shows, and then they analyze. They all have problems with their stuff. One guy had a boat, that was like 15 miles away. They had to walk through the woods at night. Just like, really? You're gonna take your kids through the woods? I mean, seriously, people.
It's all about fear. And even the prepper movement is about fear, in my opinion.
Now, this next one is really disgusting.
Do we want to hear it then?
Yeah, you do.
Maybe I should be
And where does it happen, of course? Oklahoma. Well, I said it was disgusting. Sorry, you Okies out there. Now, this town in Oklahoma, now where's the name of that town? It's Concord, 80 miles east of Tulsa. Well, I thought that was already in Arkansas, that far east of... Anyway, they have these little tiny red worms in their water, and residents are being asked not to consume the water. That was a brilliant idea. And not to brush your teeth with it, but you can use it for showers and other activities.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I want to take a shower with red worms crawling all over me.
Well, remember, the biggest eliminative organ on your body is your skin.
Yeah.
So if you have all this stuff, all the larvae and everything could get right into your skin.
And then it says, they're not sure why or how the worms wriggled into the water system. And get this, people, when the cleanup crews in the water facility put the worms in bleach, they didn't die. The worms were still alive in bleach.
And they don't know how it got in the system.
Yeah, so hello, I'm saying these are genetically altered creatures that are being tested in this little town that nobody cares about to see what the reaction is and what the effect will be on the people. This is an experiment, people.
I agree.
If bleach didn't kill them, something's going on there.
That's right.
That's not normal. How do they just get into the water system? And how come other places don't have it? Now, here's something you should know. 98% of your fresh food has pesticides. And they've done, and this is on conventional news, so this is not unconventional. 46% of fresh fruit and vegetables, such as grapes and apples, contain residue of poison. Processed food, wheat, flour, 97% contaminated. I told you not to eat wheat in North America. This is the proof of it. And it says that even if you do eat these things and the government tells you it's really okay, it's called a cumulative cocktail effect. It will build up in your body and eventually kill you. 91.3% of grapes are contaminated, while almost 3 in 100 were above the legal maximum. They also found that 98% of oranges, 91% of apples, and 73% of carrots are contaminated.
Yeah, but listen to this. If almost 92% of grapes are contaminated, what does that do to people who drink wine?
Well, fortunately,
it's full of poison, apparently.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's why I try to get the organic stuff. And it says washing fails to remove the chemicals from the vegetables. And I just saw a little blurb on CNN with, I don't want to mention his name, he's the big health mucky-muck there. And he says, well, all you got to do is wash the skin and it'll be okay. No, it goes right through the skin into the fruit and vegetable. You cannot get it out of there. So if you're going to buy commercial food that's been tainted with pesticides, you might as well just buy bug spray and spray it in your mouth. I think that's how bad it is. But get this. The government spokesman said the Chemicals Regulations Directorate, I didn't even know that existed, monitors the pesticides closely, and their reports are made public on their website. So do you feel safe now? I feel that's really safe. Okay, interesting information also on conventional news that NASA, the U.S. Space Agency, is saying that there are mysterious portals that open up between the magnetic connection between when the Earth's magnetic energy and the Sun's magnetic energy connect, creates a portal. They call them X points or electron diffusion regions. They're places where the magnetic field of the Earth connects to the magnetic field of the Sun, creating an uninterrupted path leading from our own planet to the Sun's atmosphere 93 million miles away. It says that most of these portals are transient in nature, opening for only a brief moment at any given time, but on the other hand, other portals can endure much longer, permitting an influx of energetic particles. Now, here's the main, this is from NASA, remind, here's a quote. You thread these wormholes, and they're using the word wormhole, with this negative energy, and it props them open, then you can use these things as time tunnels.
From NASA.
It's from NASA.
Wow.
So they're telling you something, people. They're telling you what I told you a long time ago. Okay? And here's the next thing from NASA. Now just listen. They say, so who knows, in 2014, NASA might finally glean some understanding of these mysterious portals which are found to pop up throughout the Earth's magnetic field. Could mankind eventually exploit these events as wormholes and travel to distant locations?
Wow.
What does that remind you of?
Reminds us of stuff you've been talking about for the last 20 years.
It sure does. Now,
I think NASA reads your stuff.
I think they do, and they don't pay me.
They should.
No, instead of spending $50 billion, I would do it for like 10% of that.
Yeah,
I'd do for $5 billion.
Why not?
Like this one time only. Now, remember I told you at the weather, I said there's no global warming, and now they're calling it climate change, and all the, things are getting, all that stuff.
I hope they saw your Montauk preview, because you talked about that.
Now, South America, yes, South America is at the end of their winter now, but South America has pretty mild winters anyway. Well, the worst snowfall Peru has seen in a decade has blanketed some areas with up to 3 feet or 1 meter of snow. And now, you look at a map, people. Look how high up Peru is from the South Pole. It's not that close. It says a cold weather front from Antarctica. That's a pretty big front to come up from Antarctica.
They say that's hitting Peru?
Hello? Spread across South America earlier this week with heavy snowfalls from Peru, Bolivia, Paraguay, and Brazil. Rio de Janeiro, beaches, tropical, Brazil, snow.
They're saying this is as
They
a result
declared
of
a national. 5 people have died across the South America because of the cold weather, ruined wheat crops, and guess what? Here's the kicker, because that will drive up the prices of crops. Now, also reported in South America, the Atacama Desert in Chile, which is the driest place on Earth, recorded the heaviest snowfall in 30 years. It doesn't rain or snow there. It's snowing there.
Well, didn't I see that the alpacas are dying too?
Yeah, they have 250,000 alpacas. So now
because of the cold?
Yeah, but you can get a good coat now.
Wow, that's terrible.
I know, but they're dead, so might as well use them. Now, one last story about the weather. This was from the National Weather Service, weather.com. Okay, National Weather Service. They're now reporting that they're admitting something that happened in July. Now, in North America, the weather system moves from west to east generally. West to east, because that's the flow of the air, always. It says that this time there was an east to west movement from West Virginia to New Mexico. That's never, ever happened, ever, and it shouldn't happen.
Unless they're making it up again.
I said, yes, in mid-July, that's what this one did. And there's an animation online. Go to weather.com, look it up for July 2013. Now we're in September 2013. They waited 2 months to tell us. And according to the weather guy, he said, it's the most bizarre case so far of the hundreds of extreme or unusual weather events in recent years I've documented. And guess what he said? It might be related to changing climate. Now, how about it's related to ELF manipulation of the weather to see if they can change the weather patterns? How about that one?
Wow.
Just like they did with Hurricane Sandy, when the hurricane came up the coast last year and then made a left turn and went all the way to the Midwest. Again, unheard of. So this one in July completed the process to go across the continent. So they're really manipulating this.
Well, everything is stepping up, and I have a few things too here that
you go right ahead.
kind of fall on the heels of some of the things you're talking about. For example, did you know that 100 elk, now of course this is nothing compared to 250,000 alpacas, but 100 elk were found dead north of Las Vegas. Now they're saying that it's suspected of epizootic hemorrhagic disease, which is generally thought to only affect the whitetail, mule deer, and pronghorn antelope, as well as domesticated cattle. However, if this is confirmed, then they're saying this is the largest die-off of elk that's been attributed to this particular disease. So why do we have this? Because they say if you're hunting, you're supposed to avoid harvesting elk or any wildlife that appear to be sick, and to call and report the incident, because they want to see how well their experiment is working. So first of all, they take the elk, or they take the deer out of. Hunters aren't supposed to eat that. Now they're taking the elk out. The buffalo we've already reported to you about in Wyoming. So pay attention to this. Again, like I've been telling you, they want you to be reliant on the government for your food source. So that's where all of this is going.
Where they're going to grow that meat in the store and you can just cut a piece off and take it.
But even including what you're talking about, the pesticides there, because they're telling you now that everything you get is unsafe, so therefore you must rely on the government. That's going to happen. And if some of these civil incidences happen, people will go to the government for food, and they will be provided with different food, and people will get used to not being self-reliant as far as that goes.
It's true.
Now another interesting animal story, which a lot of you I think maybe have already seen, but it's worthy, I do need to remind you if you haven't seen this, that the Navy is finally admitting that their tests can harm and kill dolphins and whales. They are telling us right now that the training and testing that they're doing could inadvertently, and I'm put that in quotes for you, kill hundreds of whales and dolphins and injure thousands over the next 5 years. Innocently. Because of detonating explosives underwater. Now they also go on to say that this will happen through 2014 to 2019, and the reason is because they have to make their training exercises as realistic as possible.
Why? Because they're going to fight an army of whales and dolphins?
Well, they say that some might be killed by explosives, and now this is interesting, they said some might be hit with ships. So I thought that was an interesting thing. And
Yeah.
if they don't tell you they said, then they can be stopped. So this is what makes it legal, is by telling you in advance. And we've talked about this before, about universal law, how Illuminati follows that. They always tell you in advance what they're going to do, because that gives you the opportunity to find a solution to counteract it. Most people aren't savvy enough to figure out the puzzle. That's why we're here to tell you, so you can start counteracting that. And when the mind pattern changes up here, that's what's going to change the outer. Signing these silly petitions that come around the internet are not going to change this.
No.
Only by fixing your mind pattern.
It just identifies you as a troublemaker.
That's right. So don't pass around the petitions. Don't sign them. Get rid of them. We don't allow those on any of our Facebook pages. Now, a bomb.
It's the same thing.
An accidental bomb was
Right.
dropped.
Accidentally killed people, maybe.
Well, this one, it said it's unexploded, but even though it was unexploded, they said that it was buried 2 feet in the ground and had to be removed with a backhoe, and also broke up a parking lot.
What if someone was standing there when that thing fell down?
That's what they're saying. This happened over the eastern shore in Maryland. It was the Air National Guard jet that accidentally dropped it. Well, remember...
Accidentally, like they accidentally dropped it on the Great Barrier Reef in Australia.
That's right, several of them. Now, what's interesting to me is when I went to listen to this story, it started out reporting it, whatever news reporter started out a little bit, and about 30 seconds, if that, into this story, it went to a commercial. So I thought, okay, I'm going to replay this. Maybe I hit something. So I replayed it again, and it went to a commercial. So I'm guessing this story is either going to be taken off soon.
I would think it would. I'm surprised it even got on there.
Well, it probably had to because of the local people. But anyway, I found that interesting.
Yeah.
Now we have another way to keep people on drugs, legal drugs at this point. They are working on a blood test to predict suicide. That means it's in your genetics, not how you feel mentally or emotionally. And they're developing, therefore, biomarkers for mental illness.
Right, they should test themselves on that.
Well, this is at Indiana University, not too far from us. They compared the blood of men who had committed suicide with those who have a mental illness to create these biomarkers, and decided that they could figure out who was predisposed to this mental disorder but didn't have it, and therefore they can put you on drugs now so you don't commit suicide.
That's wonderful.
They're also talking about once they make this, put this in the book, whatever they do with it, then your employers and your insurance can force you to take these tests
and be on drugs.
Or you can't get health insurance, you can't be employed unless you take the drug. So again, be mindful of what's happening out there and think about it and do your best to exercise your rights, and again, work on your mind pattern. Now, going back to genetics, they have a new television show out there, a reality-based show. It's called Who Do You Think You Are? And they're opening it up with Cindy Crawford, and they've reeled out her genetic lineage, and they're tracing her to royalty.
Of course.
And these are other things that we have been talking about, is the genetic research. They want to know who you are.
Who was her royalty, do you know?
They won't tell you. You have to watch the show. They listed a couple. One was the King of Italy, but apparently even more august than that. You had to watch the show, which I didn't.
see.
So if you watch the show, write in and let us know who that was, just out of curiosity.
Because we don't watch TV.
No, but if you have watched us before, we have told you that all the icons, all the public people, from Oprah on to the presidents, they're all related. The entertainers are all related, and every once in a while they put this out there so you can see that. They don't just all of a sudden come up from the dredges to be, an icon. There's a reason. So keep that in your mind. Now, this was one I found particularly interesting. This is a man, Neil Harbison. He says since 2004, he's had an antenna that sticks out of his head to allows him to hear the color spectrum, from near infrared to near ultraviolet. And his whole head is turned into a music box. He can hear the sky, he can listen to his mother's eyes, and he can hear rainbows.
Okay, and most people like that wind up in a house with bars on the
Well,
window.
don't say that, because this is the way I hear. I hear in color.
Yeah.
I don't need to have the antenna. And also, this is what I teach people in our classes to do. But you don't have to take hyperspace oversoul techniques to learn to hear color or to reproduce the
So he
frequencies.
just has an antenna sticking out of his head?
It kind of goes like this, I guess.
He
from what
stuck
I
it
can
in
see.
his head?
I don't know if it's just wrapped around or if it's just like over the top. It was an article, and they only tell you how wonderful it is because they want you to do that. He said he's installed this cybernetic eye in his head, So he says he's transformed his whole body into a musical instrument. So he can play music by looking at things. And he says one of the most exciting things about being a cyborg, which he refers to himself as, and get this one, is that age does not degenerate your senses. The older you get, the better your senses get, because the technology improves. So nothing about improving your body or your mind or whatever, but you rely on technology. So everything is geared to take you outside of it. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting article. But yes, that
gives a whole new meaning to playing with yourself if he's a musical instrument.
Apparently. Now also some of you, this is a lot of interesting stuff going on out there. You just have to read between the lines. Now, astronomers are predicting that they will have contact with alien life by 2025.
Too late.
Yeah, well, we talked about, now they're saying maybe we came from Mars. You know, that's starting to open up things. Now again, these are this is a senior astronomer at the SETI Institute in Mountain View, California, who wrote this particular book. The interesting things to me, he says they won't visit Earth, but they will be sending radio signals, and we're going to get those radio signals first.
Well, maybe that guy with the antenna in his head will get the radio signal.
Maybe, or the wormholes, you know, that radio signal will come through there. But they're starting to tell you, they're giving you dates, they're giving you pathways, they're giving you how it's going to happen. They're starting to open you up to that possibility. Now, this kind of also, the next story goes along with what we did this summer, because we were in Greenland, you know, up in the northern hemisphere, way north, and we talked to a lot of people and we did a lot of investigation. They are now telling us, and you may have seen this story, that there is a giant canyon which was found under an ice sheet in Greenland. Now, one of the things I found interesting is this story actually came out of Oslo, Norway. And a lot of people probably don't know, but Greenland is actually owned by Denmark. So why did it come out of Norway? That was my first question. Now, the other thing that I found particularly interesting about this story is it says, and I'm going to quote this because this is the lead author of the report, Jonathan Bamber of the University of Bristol in England, who describes the canyon in last Friday's edition of the Journal of Science. He says, quote, "It's remarkable to find something like this when many people believe the surface of the Earth is so well mapped," unquote. So they're telling you
that the Earth is not well mapped.
It is not well mapped. And then it also refers to a rift valley entombed in Antarctica's ice in 2012. That scientists, of course, have their explanation for it. But they're telling you now that, okay, yes, we're under the sea, we don't know about that.
We don't know.
But they've kind of said that for a long time. Now they're saying the Earth itself, they don't know as much about it as they thought. So here we go with that opportunity to bring in the inner Earth, the hollow Earth, God knows, the shelf mantle where the reptilians live. Who knows what they're going to bring in with that. Oh, and one last story. I have to tell you, I meant to write it down and I forgot to. But it's also very disgusting and gross.
Oh, good.
And I know you would want to hear about it.
Is it about bugs or poop?
No, but it's about something kind of what you were talking about earlier, which reminded me about. So I'm very sorry I forgot to write it down. But it has to do with toes.
Oh, no.
Yes,
I know that story.
Toes. That in the, was it the Yukon?
It was in the Yukon,
yes.
Where we kind of passed through there this July.
There is a new drink that you can get. And in that drink...
It's not in a drink, it's been around a while.
Oh, it has been around a while?
Yeah.
I thought it was in a drink.
It's in a drink, but they've had that drink around.
Yes, but it's in a drink.
Yeah.
An alcoholic drink. That it's kind of, you know, in Mexico they put the worm in the tequila.
Right.
Well, in this particular drink they take human amputated toes and they put that in your drink and then you drink it.
Isn't that nice?
So.
Gives a whole new meaning to putting your foot in your mouth.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, remember what we're talking to you about cannibalism.
I want to know what person would want to do that.
Well,
That's
again, a very sick program.
And people. Where did they get? Did they go to toes.com and get amputated toes from like on internet?
Well, maybe it's the frostbitten toes. Maybe
well, that's probably on the Yukon.
They fall off and they just put them in your drink and I don't know,
gosh.
but lots of stuff going on. I do.
People, just straight vodka, okay? It's nothing wrong with it.
Anyway, what I want to remind you of, please, is our website. We appreciate your patience. Bit by bit, we're getting it loaded up, so we're very grateful for that. And the comments are coming in as far as people love the new site. That's great.
I know that some people still have issues in signing on to the membership, and we told you must
Right, you have to. At this point, you're going to have to cancel your current subscription. Let Patricia know so that we can get it canceled for you on our end. customer support at expansions.com. And then you let that subscription get canceled first, and then sign up again. We also have a great Labor Day sale going on, the lowest we have ever had. It's only for a few days because we have a little bit of time period. It's kind of our way of thanking you for putting up with all of this all through the summer.
And being patient with our issues.
So, and we have payment plans. So we have great things going on. Again, check the Facebook fan page, the home page, check with Patricia. She'll get you set up. We have our October seminar, the Kuiper Belt Connection. It's going to be amazing information. That is going to be wrapping up a lot of our most current research as well as our trip this summer. We have the Montauk Madness preview. We had not intended to film it, but because we wanted to, again, thank you for your patience, that's up there for free. If you like what you see and you want more, we are posting the segments in the Gold member section of that weekend. So a lot of phenomenal information came out. You won't want to miss that. And we have two big events coming up after that. We have in November, Hyperspace Extravaganza Down Under, because the people in the Southern Hemisphere want that information, and they're doing what they can to bring Stewart there. I won't be going, I'll be holding the fort down here, but it will be a week-long class there. And then we have our January 2014 class here in St. Joseph, which will be the two of us. Hyperspace Oversoul Extravaganza. We have a lot of things in the works, which we'll tell you and reveal to you as we are managing to get everything going where it's supposed to be going, so to speak. But anyway, you want to talk to Patricia. She'll help you sign up. She'll answer your questions. She can put you on payment plans, so by the time you get where you need to be, everything is paid for, which is really nice these days. But we have something for everybody. The membership is, starts at $8 a month, where you can get on, you can make your comments, you get discounts. So lots of new and exciting things are happening at expansions.com.
Yeah, I mean, really, the cost of the membership is like a bottle of wine or a pack of cigarettes.
McDonald's burger.
And you can get that for a whole month for $8.
That's right, and do something with your mind, improve your body, improve your mind, improve your spirituality, your physicality, you name it, we can help you with that. So we're very multitaskable.
Yeah, exactly. And we always come up with new stuff for you.
That's right. We want to do things that are interesting and new. We want to keep things interesting and new for you, but you've got to do the basics. You need that foundation. So if you don't feel you have a good foundation, and that doesn't matter how many years you've been studying metaphysics, because what we teach you is different than what's out there. We help put the grounding under your feet so you're solid, you're firm, and you can go forward in the way you want to progress.
Well, I think that's it for now.
That's it for now.
And we'll see you probably again next week. Until then.
Well, hopefully, not probably, we will.
Oh yeah, we will.
We will.
Well, unless the Syrians and the North Koreans attack.
Or they drop down in a spaceship and they want us to fly off for the week or something.
Yeah.
But most likely, I'd say 99.9%.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll be here.
So we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye for now.